Hi everybody and welcome to Piano Talk. I'm Peter.
And I'm Andrea and we're live here at Bernie's Musicland.
Got a great show here for you tonight. We've got piano players.
Performers, lots of P's.
Lots of P's, piano people and some very special guests. We'll be back in a minute.
Piano Talk.
Burt Bacharach, one of the greatest songwriters of the 20th and 21st centuries. He was born in 1928, American composer. He went to the Southern California University, where Dave Brubeck went. Same year, around the same years, I imagine. I think Brubeck might have been a little bit older. Dave Brubeck was born in 1919, so Burt Bacharach, 1928. One of the teachers at the Southern California University was Darius Milhaud, the famous French composer. He was one of the six, Les Six, who came and lived in America and taught in the universities, obviously, the Southern California University. And Milhaud was a very avant-garde composer, and a lot ran off on his students, obviously with Dave Brubeck going into all those odd time signatures, and we're going to talk about those a little bit later. And Burt Bacharach, who in his pop songs incorporated a lot of those odd time signatures, for instance, Promises, Promises. 6/8, 9/8, 12/8, and everybody at the time thought very, very complex. But if you're studying at a university when you're about 20 years old with Darius Milhaud, that's not complex. So Milhaud ingrained his students in with this information. Now, very interesting to note, Milhaud wrote a piece called The Creation of the World, La Création du Monde, in about 1932. It was a ballet and it had jazz influence. And a very, very popular piece, and you should check it out if you can. And Burt Bacharach obviously loved this piece. It was a serious piece of music, a serious classical piece of music. It involved polytonality. It had an intro like this. Fantastic sound, and it's a ballet, and it's a fantastic piece. But I was thinking, Burt Bacharach, one of his huge hits was Walk On By. Influence of a teacher, perhaps. Great tune. I'll play a little bit of Walk On By. Bacharach also had at his disposal a fantastic and basically a session singer, and that was Dionne Warwick. And I think during those the early recordings, she was just getting session rates and just bringing out these fantastic tunes. Look of Love. Very unusual melodies. A lot of his songs had big leaps, which is a classical feature. Look at this song. Leap of a ninth. Very, very unusual in pop music. It's interesting with Burt Bacharach because he goes, in the 50s and early 60s, he worked out of the Brill Building in New York, which a lot of fantastic, where all our music came from in the 50s and 60s, or 70% came out of the Brill Building. And that's where Bacharach met up with Hal David, his lyricist. But this particular tune he wrote, one of his very earliest tunes, the lyricist wasn't Hal David, and the tune was very, very simple and very in the style of what was happening at the time with tunes that Perry Como and those sort of artists were bringing out. The tune called The Story of My Life, it went. one of those really catchy 50s type tunes, which you wouldn't think Burt Bacharach would write. Huge hit for him. Moving on, later on, he wrote some fantastic tunes. This one is interesting. There's a piece called Always Something There to Remind Me. It was his piece. There was a composer called Spartacus. There wasn't a composer, there was a piece, an opera called Spartacus. The composer was called Bacharach, and his chord progression way back in the 1920s was... "50 years later, Burt Bacharach wrote a tune called Always Something There to Remind Me." You can't copyright a chord progression. Frankie Valli had a hit, "You're Just Too Good to Be True." Same progression. So nothing's really new. What we're sort of finding out is that a lot of it goes back to the classical composers anyway. Look, it's an endless subject. I could go on forever, and I sort of have. So we'll talk about more next time.
Piano